Yeah.
What's your square footage?
Well,
Yes.
it's a pretty good sized unit. I may have to make a little guess here. It's probably at least 2,500 square foot unit.
Yeah, that'll be under 2,000 then. So. More than likely.
Yeah, okay. I'm making sort of a guess here. I'm just saying it's probably at least 2,500 square feet, just looking at the scale here.
Yeah, you look at these units, they're like 3,300, 3,500.
Okay, you've got, I only printed out one page here, so I have it myself without.
Oh, yeah. Well, with the garage, it's 38, but with,
Yeah.
there's the house.
3,800, they're definitely gonna be over 2,000.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Actually, I do have that here now.
Well, that's 38 with the garage. So 3351 is the other one.
So more than likely, you're gonna have to have duct detectors anyway.
Yeah. They're
Or
required by-
we could make it part of this too. Might not be a bad idea.
I think if you wanted to specify that as a condition, I wouldn't argue with you. Stab at that.
Yeah, I think the first one's an easy one. Make a motion to approve, which item is that in there? A. As proposed.
Condition of 1 hour.
Oh, thank you. And the condition on the ceiling, assembly, right, ceiling roof assembly is 1 hour. Thank you.
Which you included that, yes,
Yeah.
but the attachments will go away.
Your attachments are gone.
Yeah, so it's a good idea to add that as a condition.
Second.
1 hour. Variance.
1 hour roof ceiling assembly will be provided.
First, so you got a motion first on.
Okay.
First.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so then B,
And I think the motion on B is to approve with the condition to ensure there is fire blocking and duct protection.
fire blocking in the chase and also duct detectors in the return air. That's okay. That kind of.
I think that's perfect, guys.
What is that? Slightly. I didn't know. So was there a person second on that?
I'll second it.
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
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 Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Zach?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, we have 24/8/41 Pleasantdale Church Edition of renovation. Okay, the GAR. Additions be made to existing buildings, provide construction work within the scope of the addition, conforms to the requirements for the construction. There's a request not to add a sprinkler system to an A3 occupancy addition. That is noted in the building code. We refer this to commission due to the occupant load. They're increasing the area And the occupant left with the knowledge that you do not have capacity to fit the current area, excluding the addition.
Melissa Tupper, RTM Consultants. That's not completely correct. The variance has nothing to do with the addition. The addition is separated with 2-hour construction. Our occupant load and square footage does not trigger a sprinkler system. So this variance addresses the existing sanctuary. They are renovating the sanctuary, and it's going to result in a net increase of approximately 45 occupants due to the renovation. So the existing sanctuary already exceeded the 300 occupant load, and the fire area already exceeds the 7,000 square feet. So the variance request is to allow the net increase of 45 occupants. They will be to not sprinkler the building. So they will be installing a new fire alarm and connected smoke detection system throughout the existing sanctuary building. Currently, the building has neither. Both the lower level and the first floor sanctuary exit to grade. The lower level is classroom, pretty much all sanctuary space. There's 5 exits provided from the sanctuary. And our maximum travel distance in the sanctuary is 80 feet. Code would permit 200. The cost hardship is to sprinkler the building. The cost to sprinkler the building would cost about $405,000. The sanctuary renovation cost is $450,000. So almost 100% cost to sprinkler the building due to the fact that it's in a rural location. It's going to require a fire pump, holding tank, 3-phase power for the fire pump. So in lieu of that, they're offering to install a fire alarm and detection system throughout the building, which currently has none. So if the variance gets denied to increase the occupant load by 45 people, they won't have to install a detection or fire alarm in the existing building.
That system, Melissa, is that system gonna be monitored the whole time?
Yep, it's an NFPA 72 system.
Okay.
And that's in the application.
You're ostensibly making the case that if this gets denied, it's going to be less safe than it would be if it's approved,
Correct.
correct?
Correct. Because right now there's no fire alarm or detection.
It's in a rural spot. What's the fire department? Is it volunteer? Is it a man? What's the situation with the fire department?
It's volunteer. It's
Is it Decatur? Is that where they're?
no, it's out. It's rebel. It's not. It's volunteer.
Well, you have a Decatur address, that's where
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it's outside of the city limits of Decatur.
Decatur does have, paid firefighters. Firefighters, I don't know how many they have, but they do have paid volunteers.
And the building is primarily non-combustible construction. It's technically 5B because the roof structure of the sanctuary is wood. But all of the construction, primarily like interior floors supporting construction, is all non-combustible.
This in the past.
Still stands.
Again, we're only increasing the existing occupant load by 45 and you're getting a full detection system and fire alarm.
By increasing it to 45, what does that mean the maximum occupancy is?
The calculated occupant load on that first floor of the sanctuary is 560. Existing first floor occupant load calculated is 515.
When was it built initially?
I have existing drawings. Let me. The sanctuary addition was done in 85. So this part of the building, the sanctuary, was done in 85. There's, if you're looking at the drawings, it's connected on the right to this little building that was existing, and then they added the sanctuary and they separated it with a 2-hour firewall. So yeah, the sanctuary was constructed in 85.
So is the only area being touched by the renovation the sanctuary?
Right. So they're adding on to the building on the right side of the sanctuary. And that will be separated off, and they're renovating some existing area over there that's separated off of the sanctuary with existing 2-hour wall. And then the new addition separated with 2-hour walls. So we don't have a sprinkler requirement for any of that area. So,
Yeah, so what I'm looking at this, it looks like the existing education wing is what was the original church. And then the existing sanctuary was the 1985 addition. And then at some point, the activity center was built. And now we've got several proposed additions in addition to the remodel of the sanctuary. But the remodel of the sanctuary is what's triggering the discussion, correct?
right, and only for the sanctuary building. So the
Yes.
sprinkler system, the only variance and everything that's addressed is just the renovation of the sanctuary. If they weren't renovating the sanctuary, increasing the calculated occupant load, we wouldn't be here. So essentially some of the spaces they're taking over were classrooms that are getting moved to the new building. So there were a couple classrooms and offices that flanked the sanctuary that they're taking that area.
And is the main cost just of the sprinkler system, just the cost of bringing it to the site?
Well, they're not bringing it to the site.
No, that's what I was wondering, the cost, because you have a cost of $405,000. I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's for the fire pump, the sprinkler system itself, a holding tank, and 3-phase power to the site for the pump.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed the holding tank. So it's called holding tank, okay.
Electrical.
And the only thing that would need to be sprinkled would be the new sanctuary, correct?
Yeah, the renovated sanctuary, yes.
Yeah, renovated. The rest would not have to be sprinkled.
Right, so yeah, the first and
so in lieu of just having the sprinkler in that one area, you're willing to fire alarm the whole structure.
And the reason that the sanctuary area is not exempt is because it's over the 7,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Right?
correct. So there's, a lower level below this. And let's see. The upper level is just over 9,000 square feet and the lower level is around just under 5,800, so.
Alright.
And we don't have rated floor assemblies, but it is all non-combustible construction.
So you got a fire area of just over 14,000.
I'm
Right.
caught up.
And if we could, divide it up, we would to reduce it to get to that, 7,000 square foot number. It just doesn't. It's not physically, it's not.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
May we add the condition that the new fire alarm and connected smoke detection system shall be in accordance with NFPA 72?
It's in the application.
No, not the addition. The addition is not, and there's a reason why I always specify that addition. Addition is not there.
Yes, I see, Melissa, number 2,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you have a new fire alarm in accordance with NFPA 72, but it doesn't say 2010 edition.
Okay,
Story behind that, Melissa.
So I will add a condition that the NFPA 72 compliance system be installed in accordance with the 2010 edition.
that's,
So, for a second.
Yeah, I'm still good with that.
Commissioner Burgess?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Travia?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes. Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Right, next up is 2408-2, item L, floodplain, yeah.
This is for a fire suppression system piping. The owner wants welded couplings piped together, and the contractor wants to use clamps with sway bracing for connections. This is for a 10-inch pipe. If I got that right.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, past building commissioner and commissioners. My name is Mark Rippey with FE Moran Fire Protection. Also have a couple other folks with me here today. Mr. Brian McHugh is representing IU Health. If there are any questions, Scott Heller with Applied Engineering is with us as well. Lisa Jeff James, who works with the Well Smooth construction team, and Mr. Carpenter has joined us here as well. We're installing the fire protection system in the utility plant, and it involves a tunnel where the fire protection system runs to the rest of the buildings on the campus, okay? There are seismic requirements for that system, and typically, when you put a fire sprinkler system together, you roll grooves in the end of the piping, you put a gasketed coupling in between, and then you lock it down with a coupling, okay, in those grooves. The owner has went to the extreme to put this tunnel piping together to ensure that there are no leaks ever in this sprinkler system, and they want to go through and use a process called through penetration welding, okay, where they're going to chamfer the pipe, they will weld the pipe, they'll run around the pipe 3 times and actually weld the pipe together, okay? The NFPA standard says when you pass through the floor, there needs to be a flexible connection at the top and the bottom. And having welded pipe, we don't have the flexibility. Okay? So that's why we're asking for the variance. It's not a typical way of putting sprinkler pipe together. It's an awesome way of putting sprinkler pipe together. Okay, we've done some calculations to see what the flexibility would be with the couplings as compared to welding the pipe and what its deflection abilities are. As an example, where the sprinkler riser passes through the floor, it's 23 feet down to the tunnel. Okay, and the flexibility of the coupling is about 0.14 inches per foot. Okay, so it has a flexibility of like 3.2 inches with a coupling. When you apply a force of like 3,000 pounds to the side of the 10-inch pipe, it has a deflection ability of about 4.3 inches, 4.43. So it has a little more flexibility than flexible coupling does when you apply a force to it. From the riser at the ground floor to the tunnel, it's about 26 feet. And it has a coupling deflection of about 3.54 with the flexible couplings and about 6.7 and 8 inches with deflection when you apply a 3,000-pound force to it. Running across the bottom of the tunnel, of course, the system will be braced, okay? But in 40 feet of pipe, there's flexibility of about 5.6 inches with the coupling, and it would be about 11.6 inches with the welded pipe when you apply a force of about 3,000 pounds. So we use that analogy to say that we don't think the standard necessarily applies to welded pipe, and then we still have the same ability. So I don't know if Mr. Carpenter has anything to throw in with his comments?
I would say that from our understanding of what they're requesting to do, we don't foresee problems with this system. We actually see it as it might even be better than what is regularly required.
Yeah, and I might add the owner, and Brian, you can chime in here, but they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure that this piping system doesn't leak now and many years into the future. So,
we wanted to make it as secure as possible as it's feeding vital buildings to the campus. So
I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
You went through a number of displacement capacities. Can you just run through that again? Because I don't think I caught all your.
Sure. So the couplings that we normally use, like a Victali coupling, it says in their literature for a 10-inch pipe, it has a deflection capability of like 0.14 inches per foot. Okay.
In the parallel to the pipe. Is that what you mean?
Well, so if you've got a coupling at the top, one at the bottom. So if you had a coupling at the bottom of the pipe, if it moves for earthquakes, it might deflect 0.14 inches per foot.
Mark, is any of this by chance addressed in more recent editions of NFP 13?
Not that I can find, no. I'd say it's just kind of an unusual method of putting pipe together. And I say it because it's not the most economic. We've heard today about the economics of construction. And while the group piping system works well, this is going to work a lot.
I'm a big welded fan. Back to my day.
So you don't want to put an expansion joint in, even if.
So yeah, to answer the question about those expansion joints, and Scott might want to jump in there as well. Okay, so they put some expansion joints in the project because they thought during the initial construction there might be about an 1/8 of an inch movement. And
Well,
go ahead.
they've got expansion joints in the concrete tunnels for the concrete shrinkage and for the longitudinal movement, but they're dowel joints, so it won't move vertically or horizontally. So we predicted about 0.8. I'm a structural engineer, I'm not structural, but he said 0.8, 0.4 inches on each side, but that happens when the concrete cures, which is already done before we put the pipe in there. And then maybe 0.3 inches on each side longitudinally over the thermal differences that you are going to encounter in the tunnel. So
And you're gonna have ambient water in there, so there's no stress from temperature range differences.
yeah, we did run a stress analysis on our piping systems, which is 36-inch chilled water, 24-inch heating hot water, condensate return, high pressure steam. With those movements that I just cited, and the stress shows that we don't need expansion joints in our piping either. So none of our service piping has any expansion joints. Everything's on rollers and clevis hangers. So, and it all says seismically braced also.
So you are on rollers in, and it's got lock-ins too somewhere?
Yeah, for the seismic, yeah.
Anchors?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the contraction's already happened, right?
Yeah, bottom line is we don't anticipate a lot of movement, but unless there's an earthquake, but just from thermal expansion, it's minimal.
And this isn't recognized by ENFPA at all?
Yes, I mean, if there's an earthquake that would break this system, I think there'd be even more damage than just.
Yeah, and I come from a facility, we did 600 PSI pressure, and I'm a big welded guy. I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I just had a question. Mark, you said this isn't recommend, or it isn't approved by any edition of NFPA?
No.
And they understand they still have to meet the NFPA regs for the accreditation.
So we're asking for a variance to that.
That gets you for the building code, but for their accreditation, which my agency doesn't do, but it's the federal says you have to meet the NFPA codes. So there's not an edition that does recognize this?
We'll be meeting the NFPA codes. We think we are meeting so I think we're saying we are meeting the NFPA codes with the deflection capabilities, so.
Okay.
And they allow welded pipes.
Yeah, sure.
Right. I don't want them to think, hey, this is gonna get them past some federal surveyor saying they don't meet it, so.
I will second the motion.
What did David say?
I was just saying, in NFPA, on materials, they do allow welding of fire protection, correct?
Right.
That's all. That was my question.
That first and second to approve?
Mr. Burgess? Yes.
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 Thank you very much.
This mandates that each toilet room and bathing room be accessible. It's made a request that a newly constructed single occupancy restroom be allowed to have a non-accessible.
Dave Cook Consultants. The code does allow private, accessible, or private restrooms, private office, that they can be exempted. Basically, they have to be adaptable, just like a Class B residential unit. We are meeting them, except for the shower stall. We have a 4-inch curve at the shower stall. If I can back up a little bit in history, the first ADA had language in it that basically exempted all private toilet rooms for the occupant of the private office. Has to be adaptable. Over the years, in the building code section that we're actually citing the variance from, piecemeal stuff by saying, if you have a bathroom from a private office, it's actually a toilet room bathroom from a private office, you don't have to follow accessibility. These 4 or 5 things. It's very strange, they don't have showering listed. In the 2024 code, they refer to 2017 ANSI, which is actually the same as the ANSI we currently have now, which also mimics current ADA. All these little tabs here that I have, that's the piecemeal that they've come up with. Basically, we can build a private restroom off of a private office as long as it's adaptable. Now, here's the point. One of these tabs, which I'm going to show you, says that the laboratory can be of any height as long as it's adaptable. So why is the shower stall not mentioned? Because we're still trying to keep water from running all over the floor. If it ever needs to be adapted, we would have to change out the lavatory and raise it up. We can mount it anywhere we want. ANSI says that. When it comes to the curb, it doesn't have any language to it. We were allowed to have a 1/2-inch curb But then the next paragraph, next section down, it says in existing shower stalls, if you have trouble with structural modifications, you're allowed to have it 2 inches in an accessible shower stall. So point being, this is a private toilet bathroom off of a private office that we're meeting all the adaptability things. Just have a 4-inch curve instead of a, I guess technically wouldn't be allowed to.
So my question is the obvious one. You've referenced the section numerous times about private office. Great, that's in the building code. But this is off of a lounge, not private. Private office is off to the side.
Is there a definition for a private office?
I would say that a lounge with countertops and seats is not going to be considered a private office.
Yeah. On the other side of the private office is a kid's room.
Yes, it's right there. Recording, sharing recording.
That's to the left. To the far right, on the other side, is a kid's room for when his kids are there with him.
Oh, okay. It goes through on the other side of this table. It says kids, okay. And then that goes to Courtney.
But what's the connection that you're making?
We have a very unique, undefined private office.
Is the restroom there, is it locked? Does it have a key lock where only Graham and Courtney and the kids can use it?
Like that, a condition would do that. I don't know whether it is or not. It's a shower. It's a shower. We don't have to provide a shower in this building. Again, it's a private office, very unique in design, I will give you that. But there's no other shower in the building.
So why don't we take down the wall between the lounge and Graham's office and just give Graham a really large private office?
That's his choice.
Right. But it is adaptable.
Or just
It
move it?
is adaptable. The
Yeah,
whole
move
fabric-
it.
Is this built?
Yes.
Because I was gonna say, you should just move the bathroom next to his office.
Yeah, the way it's shown on here, it needs to be accessible.
From what standpoint do you think it needs to be accessible?
Well, the one in question is the yellow highlighted one, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure, that's right.
I'll agree with everybody else. Yes. Yes, it's that one.
And what you say storage and lounge is what this is tied to, if I'm looking at it correctly.
Well, it's also tied to his office. There's a door there that comes from his office into that large. And granted, we could have played word games, right?
To say,
We could have changed, we
That
could
would
have
have been-
changed names.
easiest route to go.
And look, I'll be honest, this is a very unique private office, but it's a private office. There's other
A very
restrooms
nice
on-
one.
Yes, and if you haven't figured out who this person is, he's a very up and coming race car driver.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that has anything to do with it, but across the floor, I mean, this is an office building. So across the floor, there's plenty of restrooms on the other side,
And
as well as directly downstairs.
Yes, but this is also off of a lounge that has open access to an open office area with any number of occupants. If you're tying this to the exception in 1109.2, I just don't see it. It says in toilet rooms or bathing rooms accessed only through a private office. That means that lounge is his private office.
And it is.
What is this out there?
So take the two doors that go from the court, from the open area into the lounge. You take those doors and now you can only access it through a private office.
So,
By that.
so Greg, can we move on by another desk? Multiple people have multiple desks in offices sometimes.
So you're saying this one person needs all of the desks that are shown in that open office area on the floor plan?
Well, wait, now that's different though. That's all those desks on the north side, that's part of the office area.
That
For all of his
office area
employees.
has access into the lounge.
Yeah, to maybe invite one of his employees in to go over a project, no different than you have in your previous corner. But is there another plan here? I believe there is, that shows the entire floor plan. The entire floor plan has ample amount of bathrooms, toilet rooms. There's no showers in this. There's not required to have showers. Toilet rooms on the other side of the building,
It shows it.
within travel distance.
And locker room.
Locker rooms.
Yeah, but I think the whole idea of this, he's gonna bring people in from his office and talk to them.
Right.
In this lounge, and what if he has a handicapped person in his lounge that's right there? They gotta go all the way out to the handicap, correct? I think that's the whole idea.
I don't believe that's the intent of the code. The intent of the code is if you have a private office and you have a bathroom off of that private office, they're treating it, just jumping ahead, to similar to a class or a type B residential unit that can be adaptable. This entire bathroom and shower are adaptable, except for a shower stall lip that's 4 inches. And if they come in to modify it, if something happens to Mr. Graham and they have to come in and modify his private bathroom, they're gonna have to raise up the lavatory to begin with. I mean, the amount of work that has to go into modifying or adapting a adaptable restroom is not just easy and throw some paint on it. I mean, yes, they have plywood behind the walls so they can attach the handrails, grab bars. There's not a seat. There's not a seat in the shower. Again, we're not required.
He's showing one.
Okay, if there is, then there's bars too.
Yep.
I see
So then
grab bars.
then they're putting those things in that they don't have to. Because I can point out that, again, that everything when you go through ANSI, it specifically says when these things are in relationship to a private office, you can just make it adaptable. If those things are in there, I'm sorry, but we're talking about a curb to keep water in a shower.
Are the toilet and the lavatory currently accessible?
No.
They're not.
In this private, or across
This one,
This one.
the one,
they're adaptable. I don't know if they're fully accessible.
okay.
I don't know what the height is for the lav, but as I mentioned, we can put it, we don't have to have it at 34 inches.
No, I understand that. In some sense, if we accept the notion that this is a private toilet room.
If things are not accessible now, which you guys already pointed out that there's a bench in there, I don't know if there is or not, and the grab bars, everything else is either with that stuff on there or can be adaptable.
That's my point. If we accept the idea that this is a private toilet room and bath facility, and I'm not there yet, the question really comes down to the definition of adaptable. Right? I mean, you can tear the curb out and adapt it to a lower height. or to be flush.
Oh, for all the other items.
It's all handicap down the plate, ramp up, and back over. Sloped.
Yeah, that's pretty hard. So it's small, how small it is.
Yeah.
But again,
It'd be easy peasy.
the other thing too is you could put a curve there that by code, you're allowed to have it up to a half of an inch.
I'm not, I see on the drawings too, by the way, when you look at that last page on the elevations, it does say there's a elevation that says Graham's office elevation. There's a elevation that says Graham's lounge bar, Graham's restroom elevation. I mean, this is, I'm not sure if I heard you say these words. This is not a public lounge. This is not an office lounge. It is a private lounge.
It's not meant for the public. It is not a public lounge.
It is Graham's lounge.
I don't care about the public, I care about the other employees.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but it's not a lounge that the staff up there really has access to when they're.
That's not the office break room.
It's not the office break room. Thank you.
That's
Common
actually,
area.
that's
Yes.
actually.
However common.
Yeah, and I don't know if I heard you say that very specifically. It is not the office lounge. It is Graham's lounge. And that's what makes it unique because he has basically a very large office.
Very large storage room.
It's all his, yes.
This is not intended for any employee use nor public use.
So then the question is simply, do you need a variance because this is or is not adaptable?
Local building official wanted us to get a variance.
And the shower is, if it has grab bars and a seat, it is transferable. If you're in a wheelchair, you could transfer yourself into this shower stall because of the size of it. Could do that. Yeah, so it is accessible.
Other variances have been approved, albeit very, very few for executive offices. I didn't chase down the specifics of each one of those, but all sorts of, I think I may have counted maybe a total of 6. Clearly, fire stations and other public fire stations have done an ambulance facility where the entire second floor, but obviously I'm not trying to compare that to this.
I think your argument is it's a private office. It's a private lounge. It is not, it's not for the staff.
And nobody else has access to a shower. That's really the key thing here, right? There's no other showers in the building, period.
Grand shower.
This is Graham's only shower. I would,
On the flip side of that, if you had an accessible shower in the facility, then it probably wouldn't be as big a deal. That makes sense.
Yeah, there's not, I mean, there's lots of situations like this, where yeah, this is.
Yes, this is more common than you think. It's just a very large area. Yeah.
Looks the whole building's big.
It's a private suite.
Yes, that's what it is.
And that's, yeah, thank you for bringing up
Yeah,
the
it's a
fourth
private-
page where it says Graham's Lounge Bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that says it right there. What it is, what the intention of it is. It's not a staff lounge.
And honestly, if it hadn't said lounge on the first page.
Yes,
Floor
it would not
plan,
be
I
true.
don't know that we'd be here.
Right.
Still talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you should have led with that.
It is adaptable. I feel if the need be.
It can easily be adaptable if they want to take the lip out. You just rip down the wall and make the bathroom bigger into the storage room. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
First and second.
Bruce?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Chairman? Yes. Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Vice Chairman? Yes. Mr. Porter?
Yes.
President?
Yes.
Mr. Zane?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Discussion.
I went to that last page. I was like, I haven't looked at that again. Good job.
Okay, next up we have 240844 community design and remodel forms.
This is for a woodworking facility. It is way over 2,500 square feet, it's actually about 10,000 square feet. They don't want to sprinkle it, and so there was no mention of a rated dust collection system for this building.
All right, Jim.
So, yeah, there was no mention of a rated dust collection system, but one half of the building is has an approved fire suppression system in the dust collection system. So yeah, to start out, how we got here is there was an anonymous call about a complaint about a smell outside the building. We got a visit from the fire marshal and the local fire chief, and we let them in, and they walked through the whole building, and basically they walked away saying we need to put in place a fire watch. So we put that in place, and then they told us we have 90 days to sort it out. So we're like, well, what do we need to sort out? So we asked for, okay, what are citations? Because they walked away without giving us any. So we got the citation on, we're a woodworking facility over 2,500 square feet. Our production space is about 10,400 square feet. We have office and showroom space as well. I don't remember the exact square footage on that, but I believe it's around 1,200. Let's see. So yeah, we got a quote for the sprinkler system, and from company name was VFP Fire Systems out of Westchester, Ohio. It came up to over $500,000 for the sprinkler system for the building. Obviously a very large expense, especially considering we bought the building a little over 10 years ago for $180,000. We do plan on installing a fire detection system based off of temperature rating, which would be set at 135 degrees. Which we believe would go off a lot sooner than a fire sprinkler system anyway, and provide us adequate time to exit the building, especially considering there's only 12 full-time employees, 3 part-time employees, and there are 7 exits to the building. Where we've been in the building for 10 years without incident. And this is also the first complaint we've had as well in those 10 years. And lastly, it may or may not make the variance null and void, but Bill Shelton, the local building official.
Yeah, I'm the building commissioner for Denver County. And when I got digging on this, I found a section in 903.3.1.1.1 says exempt locations on automatic sprinklers shall not be required in the following rooms or areas where such rooms or areas are protected with an approved automatic fire detection system in accordance with section 907.2 that will respond to visible or invisible particles of combustion. Sprinklers shall not be omitted from any room merely because it is damp, fire resistant during construction, or contains electrical equipment. Some of the exceptions are any room where the application of water or flame in water constitutes a serious life or fire hazard, or any room or space where sprinklers are considered undesirable because of the nature of the contents when approved by the fire code official. The work that they do is cabinetry, it is wood. They have very expensive machinery in there. So if there would happen to be a
false alarm. If a wood sprinkler was to go off, it could cause hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. Honestly, with the project of wood they have going on, plus the equipment. I just didn't know if that would be, if a variance would even be required with that section being found, or
Can you read that section one more time, number?
903.3.1.1.1. A lot of dots and ones there.
So you're the, from Lawrenceburg,
For
right?
Lawrenceburg, I'm the building commissioner for Lawrenceburg, yeah,
How long have you
since 2009.
you've been in this building for 10 years, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Before that, it was a church for 19 years, so yeah.
The building you're in now was a church for 19 years.
It sat vacant for several years before they purchased it, and then when they bought it, it was just basically a shell.
Did you guys go through and get a change of use at that time to change it from an A to an S, what you're using it, or an F, what you're using it for now?
They did not.
What do you consider now, an F or an S? An F, likely.
I think F1 or F2, one of those, yeah.
They have one?
Yeah,
That's what we require the sprinkler system.
that's where it
You
came.
didn't get a change of use back then?
That was my mistake for not doing that back then. That was, yeah, I missed that.
Those would have been caught back then.
That was my oversight, yeah. And where I oversighted was in the section where it says 12,000 square feet. Down below it, there's a part that goes kind of over and it says woodworking shop, and I did not catch that part where it says 2,500 square feet, but that was none of their fault. I'll take full responsibility for that.
Within,
Well, an F still, that 12,000 square feet would have needed to be sprinkled. An F1, that 12,000 square feet would have been needed to be sprinkled. And then with, 2,500 square feet woodworking, and they made that because obviously we've had injuries and disasters with things, because, and, so ICC has looked at that and said, okay, 2,500 square feet is what we're gonna look at. And then obviously 12,000 square.
Production space.
Yeah.
10,400 though, so.
Sorry, I thought you said over that.
What was that?
I'm sorry, I thought you had over 12,000 square feet.
Not a production space. The entire building is now. Yeah.
Yes. So if an F is over 12,000 square feet, it should be sprinkled.
Okay.
I'd also point out that, granted, this is from commentary, which isn't adopted code, but it says it's not the intent of condition 2 of the section that you cite to omit sprinklers solely because of the potential for water damage. That the intent is to avoid situations where water creates a hazard when it comes in contact with the contents.
also that 903.3.1.1.1, section 2 is amended by Indiana. So yeah, it's been amended to read, any room or space where sprinklers are considered undesirable because of the nature of contents.
That's it.
That's
Okay.
Nature.
Yeah, the whole section about local fire official is deleted.
By interpretation of the fire, or how does that? Yeah, what's undesirable?
Well, I guess the other thing is that section, even if it were unamended, those exemplifications are assuming you have a fire detection system in accordance with 9072, which is an NFPA 72 compliant system.
Which we're planning on doing. We're just kind of waiting on this, just to see how.
Okay, and the system that you noted on the application didn't indicate, it just says fire protection system.
It didn't indicate the code number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had many times over the years where folks will hire a security firm or, an alarm company to put in detection devices. Those are not compliant necessarily with NFPA 72.
No, we find that a lot of people use security and stuff, and it's not allowed as far as a security panel.
Yeah, they're like residential kind of versus commercial type deal. Yeah.
But once again, this would have been caught a long time ago. Unfortunately, no one's been in your building to take a look at it until recent. Obviously, you said that they were in there recently because of a different situation.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we did have the local fire At that time, it was purely volunteer. But two guys came in, they walked in and said, looks like you're good. We didn't get it in writing, of course, because my dad was trying to do things right. And then, you know, he's doing the best he can, but he's not.
And I know you haven't mentioned it,
Yeah.
but I will note, item 2, under your explanation of adequacy, there is no 8-year grandfather clause.
Okay. Yeah, we were just told that. We figured we'd throw it in just in case.
Now, the grandfather clause really only comes into effect for the administrative building council that was in place in, what was it, 1986?
July 1st, 1986.
Thank you.
What's the solution here?
You're going to do the 9072, right?
What's that?
The 9072 is
Oh, I mean,
the automatic fire detection system. They would install that to
absolutely
the code.
I mean, we were planning.
I know there's some NFPA
I'll note that code.
election systems as well.
What's that?
Do you have any of the, well, somebody refresh my memory, what's the
PA 664.
664 is the dust collection system?
Yes, sir.
Have you looked into that at all?
They have a dust collection system in place, but I'm not sure if it's to that.
So
there, so I think that was still required 2012 edition. NFPA 664.
There is a current CDR that's applied for this project, just the only one that showed up, and it's for a spray booth alteration. That hasn't been released yet. I think probably that may be part of it.
So do you have spray in there as well? Do you have finishing area?
Yeah, so we're planning, there was a second citation for the spray booth. Our plan is to come up to code on that one, so we didn't for a variance.
Apply for variance for that too, or?
No, we did not, because we plan on coming up to code on the spray booth.
Yeah, they've already applied for a CDR on it. They're just waiting for approval to go forward.
And we're also waiting on this, because if you shut us down, we're not gonna.
How we're not shutting you down?
Well, if we have to sprinkle it,
You are gonna put a sprinkler system in, which many other places are compliant to that.
what's that?
I said, which many other places would have to comply with that, would be compliant with that.
I'm just saying that if we do have to sprinkle it, it's too big of an expense for us to absorb as a small company, and we're gonna shut down.
And what was that price? Did you have a quote, did you say?
Yeah, we do have the official, I didn't print, but he's got it on his book here.
I can email it to you if that's all right. If someone wants to give me an
So they're telling you $487,000?
Plus the 15.
That's from VFP?
Right. I thought it was a lot too.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot myself.
But that was the only company we could get to respond to us, probably because we're a small business and they're like, don't want to deal with us, I'm assuming.
So how large is your woodworking area?
The production facility, the woodworking space is 10,400.
All of it. I mean, it's that, because, you know, obviously if you have you could have an F1 and have 2,400 square feet of woodworking. But you're saying that you use the whole 10,000 square feet for woodwork, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The 10,400 is for woodworking and includes a spray booth as well.
I was just trying to figure out a way that if you had a 10,000 square foot building, you had showroom, you know, retail space, whatever, and you only did 2,400 square feet of woodworking.
Yeah, it's not that way.
Okay, but just trying to give you a loophole.
Yeah. How much was it? Just
$500,000.
They said 47.
487.
It seems really high.
I agree, but that was the only company we could get to respond to us. We tried about 4 or 5, I believe. And he pestered them too. Like he didn't just call once and say, "Oh, I tried." Like he pestered them to try and get him out there.
know, the only issue I have is I've had one working fires before, fires where there's been dust. And that's really what it is you've got all the sawdust, right? That gets whipped around. And, I've seen people, a couple younger gentlemen that were in those situations, doing in woodworking atmosphere like that, where they weren't quite paying attention to some other things. And had a fire, obviously, and that sawdust, if it's whipping around, it's a fire, I suppose.
If you've ever seen our facility, any salesman who's ever walked into it, who goes to a lot of working facilities, says that ours is the cleanest they've ever seen.
I understand, and I'm not down to you, I just, I hear with I deal with a lot of people that tell me the same thing, so,
You can come take a look if you'd like.
Yeah.
Used to be a gambler.
I'm not a gambling man.
About an hour.
I don't do that kind of stuff. So.
Gosh.
What's gonna work? What's gonna fit?
Looked at possibly trying to divide the shop up. His father and I did like into 2,500 quadrants, but it's just the way the shop's set up. You just can't do that.
First of all, it takes months to do, which means we're making good money for months, and then,
Well, you can't say that either, because, there are things that you can continue to work while you're getting some of those things done. I mean, you can't work in there with other people working around you. I'm just saying there, it's just like that. So really you could,
if our guys are remodeling the building and moving machinery, right? How are we working at the same time when all the machinery is down? And then they're also spending time building walls.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I've seen things done. I've seen places before where we have allowed people to put a sprinkler system in and give them a year to get that done. They've continued to manage to work in the building. While things are getting, so
some other companies do it.
Recently I was at a bakery, last year we had a bakery that we made them install a sprinkler system in their bakery. They managed to continue to keep on working even with that system in, because they didn't want to shut down their production. We understood that. They had to at a few different times. For the most part, they kept moving.
Yeah.
Would you be amenable to having a timeline to put a sprinkler system in? Like, because you're well over what's required for the square footage for a woodworking facility. And so by giving you time, you can then evaluate whether you want to get other costs estimates, or you can evaluate whether there's a different building you would like to move to. Explore your options. And then, if you come back in a year, or if that year expires, and, we're giving you options to explore your options, because to have a woodworking facility of that size without a sprinkler system is so far beyond what is required. And usually we do a lot of trade-offs, but that, if I engage in the temperature of the room, you're quite a bit higher to where there's a larger risk.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Well, because of how much area you're using for woodworking and the risk associated with woodworking and fires, you're so far beyond what's considered the minimum that that I'm just gauging the temperature of the room, that it's going to be a hard convincing to not put in sprinklers based on the information right now. So if we give you time, that allows you to function as a business and make and evaluate your business decisions without being shut down with a denial right now. Does that make sense?
That would give them time then also, I'm assuming that they could maybe try and get some more quotes.
They could get more quotes.
Maybe get something that's a little more
I would say get a quote for compliance with an NFPA 664, get a quote for an NFPA 72 system. That way, when you come back to us, you can say, hey, you know, in lieu of putting in a sprinkler, would you consider this and this to help mitigate the risk to life safety?
What was the NFPA numbers again?
664, that's NFPA dust collection.
Yeah, NFPA 664 is the standard for prevention of fires and explosions and wood crossing. 2012 edition.
Yeah.
And then NFPA 72 2010 edition.
For the
fire
protection alarms, okay.
And you can, again, we have no interest in like hurting business, but we are charged with maintaining building safety. And so we'll work with you to give you time to make good business decisions for yourself and what your business needs. But sometimes that means that we're not going to sacrifice on the ultimate goal of making a building safe, which may mean like you have to make a business decision whether you're going to take on the expense of upgrading your building or finding a new building that's less costly to work in the
sprinkler remain.
Yeah.
Another consideration is your spray booth alteration. Sometimes, most of the time, I think those spray booths require a spray booth fire suppression system.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming up to code on all that.
Okay, so I just want to make sure you were aware of that.
In the 3 foot row, outside of the walls, nothing within 3 foot of it. It tends to be a catch-all for flammables, cardboard. It's my own work, and I've cited it a lot for too much clutter
3 foot around
outside
walls,
of the bank booth.
outside the fire rated walls.
People to stack stuff up against it and then just become.
So are you talking about
36 inches.
The spray booth itself.
booth itself?
Yeah.
Outside walls. Side of the booth.
Yeah, I think it's stored up against. We saw that, but there's another thing that said you could push it up against the wall. Yeah, I don't know, there's so many codes. There's so many. We had a guy who spent 2 weeks reading codes so we can try to understand what the actual problem is.
And you know, realistically, that is your best bet to get a hold of an architect or code counselor, someone like
Yeah,
that.
which we did. And in our design, like the spray booth itself is pushed up against the wall. Because in the codes, we saw that it could be. I'm just.
Certain codes, it might be OSHA walls.
And it's like.
Probably not.
Like, we're not bound by OSHA. The other one supersedes it from what I understand. NFPA 33 or something like that.
But you had the designer submit that to, for state review, so when state review comes back, if they have any conditions on that, we can note that. And
I don't think state plan review cites OSHA though. Do they?
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
Yeah, that's my background.
Okay.
No.
So if we did have to move to a different building, would we then still have to sprinkle the building? And my dad gets a new tenant in the building.
Oh, your existing.
the
old building?
You know, if we take our production facility and move it somewhere else that it meets all the code, do we then have to sprinkle the building?
Depends on what you're gonna be doing in it.
Yeah. I mean, if you think you're taking your wood production facility somewhere else, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's where like you can evaluate, like, are you moving to a building that's already sprinklered and so this all goes away? Are you moving to a building that's under 2,500 square foot?
Well, I think what you're looking for is you would move to a building that's compliant.
Yeah.
You're just wondering what you can do with your building, correct? As far as leasing it out?
Yeah.
It would just depend on what they're gonna do when they move. So, you know, you couldn't lease it out and have somebody put a bar in because they'd have to sprinkle it. You know, you couldn't have another F1 in because they'd have to sprinkle it, you know? But I'm sure that there are some things that you could probably do within that.
Storage.
You can do storage facility like you can do an F2, you can do an S2. Yeah.
Or you can do a check for 34.
Or you chapter. And yeah,
I'm sure. It's-
with, get hold of these folks.
They have it now, it's never been officially changed.
So Logan's, what's your?
Well, I just, I think, I mean,
Your recommendation was to take.
Or should we take?
Well, I mean, we could, I mean, the way I'm seeing it is we could either deny the variance, which I don't think you would want.
No.
We could, approve the variance for 1 year so that you don't have to put a fire alarm or a sprinkler system in for 1 year. But after that year's up, we would expect you to put a sprinkler system in with your current use. And that gives you time to explore other costs, gives you time to explore other business decisions you could make about moving your operations or whatever.
It tells people to do this.
Yeah.
There's comments from the back of the room, there's folks that have to give you some direction.
Yeah. And I think those are kind of like the two options that I see. And because I don't think we're getting, I don't hear the temperature of the room saying that we're going to get to a point where the variance is approved with the building without a sprinkler system with 10,000 square feet of woodworking.
No, I think the third option would be to table it and come back with additional information.
Yeah, we could table it so that you could come back in a month or two or whatever with additional information to try to, look into those NFPA standards, dust collection systems and all those things to give enough trade-offs to where the commission can get comfortable without a sprinkler system in that building.
The problem with tabling is that it's not going to provide them even any temporary resolution.
As of right now, they do have a fire watch in place.
Oh.
There's a fire watch in place.
I think if we're inclined to give them options, I think our only choice is probably to approve it with the condition that it expires in a year. And at that point, they come back to talk about what their options are.
And at the end of that year, you can come back and give us more options and we can talk about if you have a plan and you need 6 more months, we can talk about that too.
Could you mention again what the thing is about the dust collection? Because we weren't decided for anything about dust collection. So we just felt like it's like a moving target. Like, what are we actually trying to solve? Like,
We're just looking at an option, so, and that's what Mr. Cook was talking about. So some of your options would be if you decided to come back to us, if you keep your fire watch in place, because the local fire department, your fire watch, I take it?
Yeah.
So you keep your fire watch in place, come back in a month, you find out the cost of an NFPA 664 compliant system, find out the cost of your fire alarm system. You believe that you could have those as, to put those in place instead of your sprinkler system, you could bring that back to us. We listen to you on that portion and decide that, collectively, if the room would allow those to happen. Or, Mr. Cook was saying, you can approve you and tell you to put a fire sprinkler system in within a year. You come back to us within a year and let us know what you're gonna do.
But I think his point with the dust collection system, if I understand your question, is we understand that there's not a NFPA dust collection system within the building right now. Is that correct?
we have one dust collection system that probably meets that because it meets European codes, which are typically more stringent, strict. So one half of the building is dust collected with this system that has fire suppression within it. The other half of the building is like smaller tools. So they're dust collected with mostly just smaller dust collection devices that are connected. So when you power on the tool, the chop saw, the dust collection comes on. Some of them have a bigger, like a cyclone type dust collection system, like specifically for that machine. And,
So maybe,
everything is dust collected, but maybe not all of it up to that specific code.
so maybe it's not that much effort for you to adhere to this NFPA standard for dust collection with what you already have. And that would be good to know so that we could make a more informed decision for you. Right? And then, and you could come back with that information, come back with the fire alarm system. You can do that. We can give you a year so you can price out other options as well. And that way you don't have to continue your fire watch as a way to help you move forward.
That's what I was thinking, is if we just simply table it, then the fire watch theoretically has to remain in place and it's going to be an ongoing expense.
So in my mind, I'm just trying to, so I can help relate to his father as well, is like, so there may be an option with an approved dust collection system and with an approved FP 72 system, that maybe a sprinkler system might not be required, or maybe a portion of all three of them together could make a functioning unit.
Maybe you can convince us that a sprinkler system can be, we can give you a variance for that with those other.
Yeah, with the device.
With the 72, with the dust collection, with enough exits, we could discuss, are we comfortable not sprinkler it because we've mitigated that risk to life safety enough that, we're willing to assume that liability and that risk.
What was it, 72?
I know, not liability, I'm sorry, our attorney's cringing, no, we do not assume any liability, period, and stop.
Well, was that 72 something?
And that's PA 72, 2010 edition.
Then tell them the dust collection one again.
That's NFPA 664 2012 edition?
Yes.
So will there be amendments on those as well, like on the 675, the title?
Pretty sure, yeah. Pretty sure we've been 72, but I don't remember 6.
I don't have that.
I can look online.
Yeah, we try to remember.
And I get people calling the office, said, can I just come down and look at your code book? I'm like, you can come look at it, but like, it's a path. You gotta know the process to get through it.
What is this section 9072?
So 9072 of the building code is what tells you.
IBC?
Yes, the 9072 in the building code tells you that in a compliance system is complying with NFPA 72.
Once again, we can't design stuff for you. I would highly suggest that you get a hold of an architect or one of these companies out here to assist you with those types of things. You'll be much better off coming back here with someone like Mr. Cook or Mr. Rensick. One of the many other ones just keep around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you feel comfortable with that approach? Trying to do some more research and.
If we do that, what's the situation with the spray booth? Because
you still need to do the spray booth.
But my point is, like, we're not gonna spend $150,000 to get a spray booth up to code if in a year we're gonna have to shut down. You know what I'm saying?
Is there anything in here? I think you have to evaluate.
No, they've said.
I think you have to evaluate what your options are.
Later on.
And then
It may not.
make a business decision, based on what your options are, and, you have to figure that out. I mean, all we can do is give you time. I think there could be a motion to give you that time, and so you don't have to do the fire watch. But you have to do that research and come back to us.
Hopefully within a month or so, we can come up, or you can come up with a plan, you and Dak come up with a plan to move forward with the spray booth. Hire one of these guys to make the design and go from there.
If I read another code,
do that today, the fire watch can just, did you?
What's that?
It gets tabled.
If it gets tabled, I think Craig's right. I think the fire watch would be a requirement, which we can use.
We approve with a condition of a window. The fire watch still.
I don't want to just approve and just say, hey, we're going to approve this and give you a year. I think, because most of the time we don't do it that way. We say, we're going to approve with the condition that you're going to sprinkle within a year or sprinkle, and we need to see plans then.
Okay.
I'm not willing to just go, hey, take a year off.
No.
But alternatively, they can, so if we do that approach, they have a year to get sprinkled.
And then if they did not sprinkle within.
If they come up.
February 25, then they need to come back to us.
And if they learn everything they need to learn about their options before then, they can always come back to us sooner.
I deal with Ken Cole in my area. Is that who I'd stay in touch with as far as my building department with Ken? He works for the fire marshal. Don't know Ken? Okay, I didn't know if you knew Ken or not. That's who came down from the state and did the inspection down there.
Representative as well.
Just
Our code enforcement.
Yeah. So he just stay in touch with Ken?
I did not know.
Okay.
He's the one who cited you?
He's the one who he came.
Nobody cited us until we asked for a citation because they told us you have to do something about it. We're like, okay, what do we do something about?
Yeah, so
No, that's smart. You always want it in writing.
Yeah.
That way you know what you're talking about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
when he got the anonymous call to the fire department, the fire chief got a hold of Ken Cole. Ken Cole went in with the fire chief, and Ken got a hold of me, and he's like, you need to look at this. So that's how we got it.
Ken's Homeland Security.
Yeah, Ken, yeah, he works, I think
He is the fire marshal, so he's a
representative of the fire.
yeah. So he's a Homeland Security, yeah.
So I'm gonna, because I think we've kind of give you enough to move forward. And we're gonna do, I mean, we can't do it for you, so we have to move on to the next one here. So I'm gonna make a motion to, well, it'd be a motion to approve the variance for 1 year with the condition that by September 1st, 2025, you would have to install the sprinklers. That's the motion. The side comment is unless you come back and get a variance for the research you do. So the motion is to approve the variance with the condition that by September 1st, 2025, you will have installed a sprinkler system in the building.
I'll second.
Mr. Bruce?
Yes.
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 No.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Mr. Zare?
Yes.
And Mr. Cruz?
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. 4:30.
Really?
Sorry, Ed.
It's here for the duration.
Good.
You're good to go. All right, let's get started again. Thank you. I think we're gonna hear 24/8/45. All right.
24/8/35, Henry Bill, support of graduate housing. We got two here. So the first one, the code mandates that height values of -6, -3, -6 for fire safety, user egress, and general safety, respectively, be awarded in a chapter 34 process that for buildings that house and are occupancy and require sprinklers throughout. And they request a point value of 1 for all 3 categories in exchange for installing an NFPA 13R system, NFPA in the R3.
Should be 13D.
Yeah, I realized that as I said it, yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Ed Rensink, RTM Consultants. So we've got the two variances under chapter 34. The points, asking for some fractional points. And then also to, the second variance was to not provide emergency escape and rescue windows. Because it's sandwiched between other buildings. So this is an old 3-story building built circa 1900. It's one of these old Odd Fellows buildings. It was used for meetings on the upper floors and typically some sort of commercial use on the first floor. They will be, this is a nonprofit organization that operates in the area now and mostly in individuals, single-family homes. They want to have a supportive housing unit on the 2nd and 3rd floor, a maximum of 16, which means we can call it an R3 occupancy. The use on the first floor is still an assembly space. It's by the same organization, so it's not a separate tenant, and it's not for rental for events and that sort of thing. So the change of occupancy is for the 2nd and 3rd floor. We did chapter 34 evaluation, evaluated as non-separated. We, in the variance application, we are offering, we're doing a fire alarm system throughout, smoke detection throughout. We're also building a new 1-hour stair enclosure today. There's stairs all over the place in the building that are unprotected. I need to make a change in the variance. One on the positive side, we offered an NFPA 13D, but I'm going to offer an NFPA 13R sprinkler system for the upper 2 floors. We sort of backed into that. The designers had indicated that on their drawings that they'd have an FDC and everything else, and fire department seen that and they expect it. So I'm just being honest with you, that's where we are. And so we're not doing it. We are offering an NFPA 13R sprinkler system for the upper 2 floor levels. Again, detection throughout, fire alarm throughout, new stair enclosure. So we are asking for just a score of 1 for each of those categories. You get -6 and -3 and -6. If you don't have any sprinklers, you get those numbers in the positive. If you have a coal sprinkler system, we're asking for partial credit for that. And then for the requesting a variance for, and the reason why they say this is that in chapter 34, grandfathers the majority of the code. However, in section 3412.6.11, they have some what I would call prerequisite requirements where you have to meet a small number of mandatory requirements out of chapter 10 of the code. So you don't have to bring everything up to code, but you're expected to meet certain things, such as number of exits required, or exits and some other things. But one of those things is that it references section 1029 for escape and rescue. So those are mandatory in an R3, whether they're sprinklered or not. So those are the 2 variances. And again,
offering a 13R sprinkler system for the R occupancy.
So it is a 13R in lieu of 13B?
Yes. Yes. So we're upgrading our system. What I had offered was a 13R. We will in fact be offering an NFP 13R in the residential occupancy.
Make a motion to approve variance A with the addition of an FP 13R compliance system, 2010 edition.
A second.
Got it very well.
The first and second. We approve A.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
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 Well, yeah, the code mandates that our frequencies be provided with emergency escape and rescue openings. Submit a request for leave of this requirement while being awarded the point value of 0.
Basically get a 0 perhaps from flying egress unless you can do some extraordinary things which isn't allowed. I don't think for an R occupancy anyway to get any more than a 0, but again, that's one of the few prerequisite requirements under chapter 10. Most of the time we don't need them because it's an R2 with 2 means of egress, but R3 it's mandatory whether it's sprinkled or not. We are providing the new 1-hour stair enclosure, essentially a single congregate residence. And we have masonry walls on each side of the building alongside, so there's just no way to get windows in there. As supporting housing places go, this will be a pretty good. We have detection throughout, so that's going to give everybody an extra warning regardless of where the fire is involved.
This is the 3-story building, smart, 2 on either side, right?
I'm sorry.
I'm looking at the street view. This is the taller building.
Yes,
in that street. Okay.
And there's, yeah, it's flanked on each side by other buildings with a party wall, masonry party wall.
Floor ceiling assembly is rated.
It's not rated. We're evaluated as a 3B building. And then I took this is pretty typical for these. I'll take a -3 for not having the required tenant separation between the dwelling units.
So that's already factored into your score?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very, very typical. Occasionally I'll have one where we can score it out, but it's typical that it's not.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Come on.
Next to 24/08/26, Rustic, Maintenance and automatic sprinkler system provided for group AC occupancies for the fire area exceeds 5,000 square feet, and the fire area has an occupant load of 1 or more. Submit a request installing a fire alarm in the event in lieu of being made to comply.
Melissa Tupper, RTM Consultants. The project involves a 1-story, 1,920 square foot addition to an existing vent barn. The barn was converted back in 2017. Came before the commission, all of that goodness. And I would like to add an addition to the existing building. They had as a part of the previous project, installed a fire alarm system throughout with a heat detection system throughout. They have the shunt trip, exit signs, emergency lighting, short travel distance from the existing mezzanine. It's 114 feet. Code would permit 285 feet from the first floor. There's 4 exits for the first floor area. Calculated occupant load is 307, so only 2 would be required. More than the necessary exit width. Code would require 61.4 inches. They have 192 inches, which would accommodate an occupant load of 960 occupants. No open flames. Decorative lighting will be UL listed. All of the standard things we do for the barn conversions. And the hardship is the cost of sprinkler. This is in a rural area like all of them are. The cost to sprinkler, because it'll take a pump, tank, all of that is in excess of $250,000, and the addition is estimated to cost $100,000. The overall square footage of the first floor with the addition is 4,947 square feet. So the existing mezzanine is 792 square feet. So it pushes it over that 5,000 square foot. And obviously the calculated occupant load is over 100. We've had similar variances in the past for brand new facilities. So this is an addition to an existing facility.
This is what I always mean, now, you come and get a variance for one of these. Oh, we're gonna have it, we're gonna do this, and no, we're gonna be, this is what we're gonna be.
What if we could cap the occupant load of the building at 100? And then
The 100 would not, they've
What is
got
the
more than,
Yeah, what is the occupant load now that's allowed to be in there? I mean, what was from the last variance? What was the occupant load?
let me look what it was.
Yeah, that's That's the situation. It's ready for variance. A couple years later, business is good. We want to do an addition.
Yeah.
A few years from now, business is better. We're going to do another addition, and what point does it stop?
Well, we don't have to grant it. I mean, this.
Oh, I agree. No, you're right.
The story.
It is always an option.
Facts. It's part of the facts of this building.
So the owner is willing to limit the occupant load, which I was found out after the fact. Okay, so the original calculated was 260 occupants. And he wants the addition because in reality, when you have the dance floor and everything else, you don't really have that much area. And he's willing to limit the occupant load to 180. Which is well under the calculated of it prior and now with the addition, but he said it's too tight to get that many people in it comfortably.
Too tight to put that many people uncomfortable. Thinking the people trying to get.
Feeding up on this.
I know we did on that meeting, last year in 2017. But I know all these variances got heard back then and they were all getting approved and, you know, with stipulations, but like I always say, you know, you can get the variances and then they want to come back and make additions or tweaks or add more people. Obviously, he's not adding more people, but more space because he realizes that people that he's got in that space, it's probably too tight.
And one of the variances from 2017 had an expiration date of December 31st of 2018. I'm assuming that was prior to compliance, Melissa?
Yeah, that was for bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have bathrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the only one that had a condition was the bathroom variance, which was standard.
Yep.
And again, like I said, he's willing to limit it. He said that, you know, more than 180 occupants at tables with dance floor, it's just.
6 new commissioners on the commission at that meeting. September 7th of 2017.
Yeah, I mean, we've had, you know, numerous variances granted for brand new barns that we didn't sprinkler, you know, last year. So, which I know some of these commissioners weren't here, but.
It's just Todd and I. Looking around,
Yeah.
Oh boy. When did I get old?
Poor Todd's been on the commission the whole time I've been doing this. 20 years now.
I don't know what to do with him.
Other duties as a son.
He should have all the knowledge.
He does. Oh, gosh.
Because, I mean, okay. I'm gonna spew out my thoughts. They're making $100,000 investment in a building for an addition because business is good. But they're not willing to make a similar order of magnitude. Yeah, it's double the cost, but it's similar order of magnitude. It's not $1 million for fire suppression. At some point, you have to comply. Yeah, I mean, taking care of your business is good and expanding your business is good, but I don't know. That's a tough one for me to get over. Because you don't have to do the addition to keep running your business. And but I realize saying that is completely different than how we typically talked about these kind of variances.
Do I understand correctly that the primary reason they say that they're seeking this or primary reason they say that they're expanding is because the facility today is simply too crowded.
Right, they would like to have more room.
So how about if we cap the occupancy at the current number of people that they're cramming into the existing facility?
That's sufficient with us. I mean, right now their calculated occupant load is 260. Like I said, he was willing to cap it at 180, so that's almost 100 fewer than he could have in there potentially. Again, you got round tables and chairs, and a dance floor area, and people moving through at 15 square foot per occupant. That's a lot of people, and it doesn't necessarily work out with furniture layouts and walking aisles and.
But what is how many people is he getting in right now? I hear the occupant load, but how many people is he actually able to fit into the current?
What does he have in his site that says, hey, here's what we'll take?
I am not sure. I know they do, set up areas outside for people. So I don't know exactly how many he says they can host.
Because that's the real question. Because what we're saying is how many people is he doing right now? And then we would cap it at that number.
Yeah, that's what I was proposing.
Not the 108.
So on his website, it says the wedding barn will accommodate 150 guests seated, plus the wedding party head table.
60.
Well, I mean, weddings have a lot of groomsmen and.
Yeah, exactly. So, a weeks ago, starting more clean, probably 16 people in weddings.
Yeah, so I mean, the 180 number then is not unreasonable. If
Let's see.
Yeah, some wedding parties are really big.
Probably under processed application. I looked, I
We're putting an occupant load cap on. So, the motive to expand future doesn't get you any more occupants, basically, unless there's another variance for it.
But I mean, at some point in time, the Band-Aid's gonna have to be ripped off. I mean, I appreciate the business, appreciate the growth, but it's gonna come a point in time in our future, we're gonna have this.
170848.
You could.
Where do
we
you
could-
actually see what the conditions were?
I mean, we could agree to
So as long
cap
as
it
you-
at, 180
Oh, I
with
didn't see this one.
a condition for no further additions until the barn's sprinklered or something to that effect.
Doesn't really tell you
Should
anything.
have been last time.
Well, last time it was just a chapter 34, so.
At least on their webpage, all the people holding sparklers are standing outside.
Yes.
They're on the ground. They're all-
Commission conditions, but I don't see any conditions stated.
They do offer 4 different types of lanterns though, for experience.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
So whatever conditions.
Oh, there's the conditions, just that it expires December 31st.
Yeah, that's the one they were saying expired. Okay, so what's the other?
It's this 4 different lantern styles.
Yeah, that's a thing. People doing the lanterns outside and stuff.
Harrison's by the state of Indiana, they and the state farms or something.
Right on the,
That's the front page.
I saw, sky lanterns got caught on that power line. Yeah. Took out the power line. They just sat there and burned. Years ago.
Oh, where's
Your tree. Your roof.
Hey, Bill. Yeah, line there. Okay. So let's see, you got on the table right now, or what your thoughts are. No new expansion unless this facility is sprinkled.
Yeah, and limit it to 180 occupants.
I mean, I don't, that second condition, or the condition about no further expansion unless it's sprinkled, like, I don't see that as being necessary because they can't do that anyway without coming back.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a,
But we got
Yeah,
some,
but wouldn't you say it anyway, just in case all of a sudden there's 6 new people?
Well, I think the only reason that you say that is so that, yeah,
For the future.
a new commission,
Yeah.
future commission would see that they've already been here for an expansion. And two, that you are telling them right now, if you bring this ahead, you're gonna have to sprinkle that building. We're not gonna grant you a variance not to sprinkle that.
Yeah, I think it definitely has value.
David, yes.
I mean, me personally, I think it should be sprinkled today with this addition.
Yeah.
I know, I don't like getting these, I'm just tired of these things going through.
I just don't see how that provides value. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to state it, but I don't see it like as a condition. I don't think it carries a lot of weight. It doesn't change. It doesn't change.
I don't think
Just more
I don't think that's the intent.
Yeah.
I think,
But then it's
the
not
intent
a
is to
condition. It's part of the.
put that in there saying, here's what's gonna happen next time. But
Yeah,
I'm probably not gonna vote that way anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing, it's out there for everybody else looking at previously approved variances.
Yeah.
That, yeah, that
So-
was granted, but they can't do any further additions. This is where they're limited and
I mean, I think that they were given that opportunity the last time that they received a grant for this and moving forward, and, you know, it was probably mentioned at that time, that, hey, to bring it back in the future, you're going to sprinkle, you know?
Do we
Well,
have?
I mean-
We didn't know that.
the past variances weren't to not sprinkler it. It was to use chapter 34 and they passed without the sprinkler system because they did the alarm and detection system. And so that wasn't a discussion.
So now because you're over the 5,000 square foot, that's kicking.
Yes. But now they're a class one. Before they were not, and they had to get to chapter 34.
Well, yeah, but I was trying to figure out.
So now they are a class one already. So now to me, code is now they're over 5,000 square feet. They have spring.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what happened. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I think you need to have something written in there. But I mean, me personally, I think they should spring.
Well, I mean,
I think everything should be.
Yeah.
I mean, the 5,000 square feet isn't the real trigger. It's the occupant load, you know?
300.
Well, it's both,
The
right?
typical occupant load, I mean,
the occupant load, yeah.
so you have 300, we're like 307 that they could put in there potentially.
Yes, we
But
gave
they
them a
had-
calculated occupant load, did we not?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then that was only one of the 2 checkboxes, right? It was over occupant, but still under 5,000.
No, it is both because the mezzanine adds to the fire area. So
So they're over 100 people and they're over 5,000.
Yeah,
But
we're
before the addition, they were 35.
Before the addition.
right now, they're at 4947 for the first floor and 792 in the mezzanine.
With
that's
they're
with the
over-
addition.
Oh, that is with the addition. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So the-
first floor with addition is that.
The addition drops that down to about 4,000. Or the addition, subtracting the addition drops it down to about 4,000 current space, fire area.
I mean, and we have been permitting brand new barns and event centers out to be constructed using these same fire alarm and detection systems and not sprinklering them. in excess of this square footage and, occupant load. So,
So how far away is water from here?
Or do they have water on site that they could utilize?
I don't believe there's water on site. This is
Says
out
the
in the
tank,
middle of nowhere. I've actually been to a wedding at this barn. It's got a Martinsville address, but it's out in the middle. It's not within city limits at all.
But north of Martinsville?
It's like southeast.
Okay, let's go around.
It's kind of in between Morgantown and Martinsville.
North.
Construction company due east of them. I bet Zimmer Construction will go somewhere.
Yeah, Martinsville.
Looking at arrow. How far are they went to water?
To me, that doesn't really matter.
Oh, no. I got two choices.
Well, for the sake of moving forward, I'll make a motion. We'll see where it goes. Okay. Motion to approve with a cap of 180 occupant load and the condition that no further additions to the building be completed without installing a sprinkler system.
Second. Commissioner Curtis?
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Curtis?
Yes.
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 Chairman? I'd say no. Okay. Bill?
No.
Commissioner Conley?
Agree with you guys.
No. No.
No.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
No.
Mr. Zane?
Yes.
Yes, 7 in favor, so no one passes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, every day. Last one, 240847.
Guys, want to read anything else?
Yeah. Our separation distance dictates the area of exterior openings. But is to exceed the allowable area of openings.
Is there a proponent here? For 240847, Rise on Meridian?
Yes, hi, Michael Horton with Horton Harper Architects. Excuse me, I had a different variance number. So I couldn't hear you clearly.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, so the project is a new 6-story apartment building consisting of a type A 1A podium with an enclosed parking garage and 5 stories of type 3A construction, R2 apartments above the podium. In one area of the project, along the southeast end of the building, the south facing facade, the property line gets close to less than 5 feet, in some areas between 5 to 10 feet from the facade. In those areas, we have exceeded the maximum allowable openings as required by table 705.8. And as one portion, the fire separation distance is between 3 feet and 5 feet. And in another area, if you can see the drawings, we have 5 feet to 10 feet. And we're requesting a variance for this for these areas. Although we've exceeded the area of unprotected openings in the balconies of these, at the balconies on floors 2 through 5. We do have sprinkler heads in those areas. The property adjacent to the structure is a single story building. It's fairly close to the property line. And on our first floor, along the entire face of the area in question, we have masonry wall, solid with only 1%, 1% of openings. And so we had requested this variance. The fire inspector did cite a violation for it. And we wanted to come in front of the board and request a variance for this issue. So when we look at these areas per floor, I don't know if you have the diagram in front of you.
Yes.
We do exceed it. And although this isn't exactly how it's stated in the code, but in the area between 5 feet to 10 feet, when we look at the entire facade as a whole, we are in compliance, although that is not what the code is asking. We do think that it may, satisfy the intent of the code, particularly because the first floor has such a low percentage of openings. In the area between 3 feet and 5 feet, even if we count that as a whole, if we count the entire facade, we still do not comply, which is why we're noting the sprinklers that occur in the balconies themselves. Because if we do consider the openings in the balconies that do have sprinklers, we would comply and meet the requirements of table 705.8 on floors 1 through 5.
You said this was noted by the fire inspector?
Yes.
Know which one by chance?
Pardon? Sorry, I'm going to
Did you
adjust
know-
my volume.
I didn't know if you knew which inspector, just out of curiosity.
Yes, I do. One moment. We were just, we did this in advance of we put the variance request in advance of receiving a violation, but Ryan Schmidt. And his comments are: the maximum area of openings shall not exceed percentage is specified in table 705.8. A variance has not yet been granted.
The building's up.
Yeah. And Schmidt's
The building is up, yes, sir. Yeah. And so this was not,
Well, the fact that nobody spotted it until now.
right, no one spotted it till now. If we were to enclose these openings, we would significantly reduce the amount of ventilation and natural light in these units. And so when we looked at the building as a whole, at the facade as a whole, in this one very specific condition, in this one very specific area, not only in the building, but in the adjacent structures, this is the only piece of the entire building that is not along either more land that the property owns or a public right of way. So so there's just very small parcel of land that has this single story building on it that we're taking into question. It did not get flagged, and here we are. So we really started to look at it. We started to look at the fact that we don't have any openings, or I should say 1% of openings on that first floor. And above, between 2 to 5 is where we have the sprinklers in the balconies. So we really started to look at this and look at the percentages to see if it still satisfies the intent of the code. We believe that it does, but ultimately that is not exactly what the code states. So we're here to bring this in front of the committee to get your opinion and see if this is something that we could have a variance granted for.
I'm shocked that PWG hasn't tried buying that building.
And so initially that we never really talked about it with them, but I can only assume that they tried to.
Yeah.
Because initially at the beginning where there's the kind of the dog park area, that's directly adjacent to that was not initially in their kind of pro forma or their plans a few years back. So, there are a lot of, we're looking back and there were a lot of reasons that maybe we got to this point this far without bringing this to the, we're here now, the project's already up. It might be a different story if it was 2 years ago, but we're looking at where the sprinklers are. We're looking at how large this parcel is directly adjacent to us. We're looking at the first floor and how it's completely solid masonry wall. And we're looking at the facade as a whole. Although the code wants you to look at it per floor, we're looking at all of these things, and we think that based on all of it, we're still satisfying the intent of the code, but we're not abiding to the explicit letter of the code.
Just curious, how many balconies are there? And they are all sprinklered, right? All the balconies?
The only balconies that are not sprinkled are the ones on the 6th floor.
Yeah, it's the top floor. Unless it's covered.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So
The
we
covered
have
ones-
one.
Yeah.
We have 16 balconies that are sprinkled in this area that we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like this unless somebody has an objection. I would make a motion to approve. I don't know what you do.
I agree.
And it should have been flagged a long time ago.
I'll second it.
First, second, agree.
Okay, Commissioner Brooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Coe?
Yes.
Commissioner Chris? Yes. Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Commissioner Height?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Okay, so just for clarity, so the variance has been granted?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Voting.
I mean, excuse me. Sorry, I have a hard time with the audio.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zink?
Yes.
Now it has been granted.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, just a quick run through of the rest of this and take over time. No, applications or renewals. We have a report on review, 2 new cases, couple ongoing cases, 2 final orders, no action required from the commission at this time. Next meeting is scheduled for October 1st, 2024. So let's
Wait for property 20 days.
Yes, two quick things.
What?
The website.
Yes.
The County and Paramount Restaurant are this lake or flip flop.
Okay.
So you click on the link, it's the opposite. For those of you that don't know, I just want to let everyone know, this past Friday, August 30th, actually was my last day with the city of Indianapolis. Accepted a new position and started yesterday as regional director of the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA.
Oh, so cool.
Thank you.
Are you gonna get a lot of?
What's that? My house.
Oh, wow.
Nice. It is not. And I don't have any conflict staying on the commission because I'm still a member and proud representative of the Indiana Association of Building Officials, and their board of directors is excited to have me released.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. We do have city with a link.
Less stress.
Now everybody.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Man, while you're. That one, okay for you and network people. I'll grab it. You're trying to get out of town at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Might as well to stay off before 6.
By the way, that's my phone. So
I'm going north.
You know.
I mean, just take Meridian Street all the way.
How
do you get? Oh, 65. I go right out here, jump onto 65. I'm on 65 for what, 17, 18 miles.
Yeah, so.
Jump into Meridian